What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Network special edition soundbite today. NBA power rankings for this week are out. The Sixers have dropped two crucial losses to two good teams on the West, and we're also previewing, for those watching at the time, the Utah Jazz Philadelphia 76ers game on February 15th. First of all, I'm joined alongside by my co-host today, Gavin. Tony, Gavin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So, listen, happy late Valentine's Day to everybody out there. For all my single fellas that didn't have Valentine's out there, don't worry, our time is coming. But for those that did, I hope everybody enjoyed their day with everybody. And yeah, Zach, how you doing?
Doing good. Excited to be here. Look, Sixers fans have been up and down. They're interesting to say the least. Sometimes they're sitting here and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, this team's perfect. Ben Simmons is an all-star." Other times they say, "Why didn't we trade him for Harden?" or anything along those lines. The bottom line is this: I'm not worried about the Sixers. You're going up against the best team in the NBA tonight, according to the power rankings, which we'll get to in a minute. But at the same time, Phoenix is the 4th seed in the West. They're a very good team. You beat Sacramento on the road. Unfortunately, you dropped another loss on this road trip to Portland. These have been close games. These aren't blowouts. The Sixers are in it to the end. In Portland, they were in it to the final possession. Against Phoenix, they lost it in the very last minute or two. Gavin, as we spoke about before recording today, the big issue lies with the lack of bench production. The starters are doing their jobs. I'm not worried about anything with that. I mean, Danny Green can help out a little more. Seth Curry can shoot a little more efficient. But at this moment, the only issue is that Shake Milton on the bench is not there. He will not be there against Utah. I think for the Sixers, they don't understand how crucial he really has been. Now that he's out, we now notice that. That's my big issue with the Sixers. I'm not concerned about them, but when Milton comes back, they have to be able to snap out of this funk.
Zach, I don't disagree with you. Here's the deal. All right, and then you talk about Seth Curry. Seth Curry has given us 25 points in the best 2 games, and that's combined. He had 15 versus Portland and 10 versus Phoenix. You're right. Danny Green could do better. I mean, emphasis on better, Zach. I mean, it's little to none what he's doing. He comes out here, he shoots maybe one to two threes a game, sometimes maybe just 1 3 and a 2. But 5 points and then 10 points against Phoenix. Zach, that Phoenix game was really well played, but you're missing your guy. You're missing Shake Milton. You're missing an extra 11 points. Let's go to this Phoenix game, Zach. You have 18 by Tobias, 35 by Joel Embiid, 18 by Ben, 10 by Curry, 10 by Green. And then the next notable points was Tyrese Maxey with 6. That's not going to get the job done. You're going to need someone else in double digits because that's how this team was winning before. Zach, they could compete with some of these Western Conference teams. Let's not get that twisted. Portland, I don't know what the heck happened against them. All right, that must be our kryptonite this year. Phoenix was a really good game, Zach. I mean, Devin Booker had 36, and you got out-rebounded on the glass, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, or no, you didn't get out-rebounded by the glass, but Joel Embiid didn't have a dominant night on the boards. Zach, it's just the lack of Shake Milton on the bench. That's what it really is.
No, I agree. 14 points per game is going to be pivotal. It's hard to replace that. But that brings up the question now. There have been conversations about trading. Of course, the trade deadline is coming up. We're going to hear more buzz about it. George Hill was a name that we heard from OKC. Sixers already made a deal with them this year, bringing Danny Green in when they sent Al Horford there. I like the idea of bringing in another veteran point guard that can facilitate on the floor. We need another scorer too. I think that's going to be one thing. The Sixers are still one piece away. I do have to say that. But at this moment, this team fits really well together. They just need one more piece, and they're going to have to figure that out sooner than later.
Zach, my favorite piece went to the New York Knicks. I kind of like Derrick Rose coming off the bench here. Let him be the guy, him and Dwight Howard. I don't want to say they're has-beens, but they're past a little bit. They're past their prime. Sadly, Derrick Rose due to injury and Dwight Howard and his age. But, Zach, if you got Derrick Rose here off the bench, Derrick Rose could have got you 15 and 16 points a night along with Shake Milton. That would have helped the deal a little bit better, but you didn't get him. Zach, he goes to New York. But that was my clear-cut favorite for that category.
You want a floor general who can also score. That's what they're looking for. George Hill could be the right fit. What's it going to cost? I'm not sure. But Gavin, let's get to it now. NBA power rankings. Again, they come out every week. You can take them with a grain of salt. You can read different articles on them. I prefer to look at them kind of as just a reference, not necessarily the end-all, be-all. Again, this isn't college where the Associated Press determines your seeding for any tournament and anything along those lines. But let's look at it. Number 1, funny enough, tonight, Sixers play them, the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell all these other players, Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Ingles, I forget the guy's name, Royce O'Neal, I believe it is, and of course,
Yes.
Rudy Gobert. Gavin, we thought they were going to split up Gobert and Mitchell after the whole COVID issue last year and possibly some tension in that locker room. Not only did they not split up, but they're excelling. Gobert is a scorer now. He's not only a great defender and great at grabbing boards, he's starting to become productive and put buckets up. Not only is Mitchell doing his part, they got a lot of role players to help out. I like what's going on in Utah. I'm not sure they're playoff material yet, but again, they can prove me wrong. Ever since Shaq criticized Donovan Mitchell, he's been on a tear. It's been a great run for Utah so far. I like them at 1. Of course, their offensive rating of 116, defensive rating of 107. That's the best in the league. Their net rating is plus 9.1. They're per 100 possessions outscoring teams by 9.1 points per game. That's 4 possessions. That's pretty substantial. 3 possessions if you're shooting all threes. But at the end of the day, defense is going to win games. They have that. Of course, you still have Mike Conley there, who's trying to have a rebound year. Again, we talked about whether or not he could benefit from being in the bubble. He did have a good bubble. Unfortunately, his shot rimmed out to lose to the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. But I do like this team this year. I think they're more mature than they were last year when they blew that 3-1 lead. I think that they're working a little better together. They have the right pieces. I'm not going to call them a clear-cut favorite in the West. I think that actually belongs to the Clippers as of right now because of the Anthony Davis injury. But at this moment, I do like where Utah is, and I like them at number 1.
Zach, Utah's ball movement is outrageous. I don't know if you had a chance to see. I think it was a game versus the Bucks where everybody on the floor touched the basketball. Everybody. Zach, I mean, it's literally you watch a Spurs basketball. The confidence that Donovan Mitchell is having is outrageous. Ever since Shaq criticized him, and you're right, but Zach, I'll take it deeper. Ever since Shaq criticized Rudy Gobert about him getting paid. Zach, you remember the Instagram picture of him dunking on Rudy Gobert saying $200 million just to play defense. I still dunk on him. He's turning into a scorer and still doing what Rudy Gobert does best, which is playing defense and grabbing rebounds. You got Joe Ingles and Bogdanovic. You have Mike Conley, who's arguably one of my sleepers of that whole entire team. It's not Donovan Mitchell. It's not Rudy Gobert. It's not none of these guys. It's the fact that Mike Conley, and those don't remember, Zach, Mike Conley in Memphis was a bad man. He was arguably a top five point guard. Some people put him at 1. Well, not 1, but he was in top 10. Some people put him in the top 5. Zach, it revolves on Mike Conley, how well he could facilitate and score. Donovan Mitchell has to keep up his scoring, and also Zach, the confidence and the ball movement these guys are playing at is unbelievable. Best team.
We're going to get to see it tonight firsthand against the Philadelphia 76ers at 9 p.m. Eastern. Next 2 teams, the LA's, the Lakers falling out of the 1 spot after a blowout loss to Denver last night. And, of course, the Clippers at 3 who are on their way up. The Clippers are hitting their stride now. They're going to be fine. Let's see how they do. Can they live up to the hype that was around them last season? The defending champion Los Angeles Lakers just lost arguably their best player on their team in Anthony Davis. The question is going to be this. LeBron James has done it before. He's been able to bring teams that aren't the most talented up to a certain point. How far can you bring them? Honestly, you can't bring them to a title. Anthony Davis wanted to be back this year for the Lakers to do well. Achilles injuries are tricky. Sometimes it's just a little bruise and you're able to play through it, and other times it could full out tear, and that's going to take you out for at least the season. It's not something you want to mess around with. The Anthony Davis timeline is still being understood. They're reevaluating in 2 to 3 weeks. The Lakers are going to have a tough patch coming up. The West is tough. I don't believe there's a single team in the playoffs right now that is below 500. It's going to be a tough one for them if you are the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm worried right now if I'm a Lakers fan because losing Anthony Davis is a pretty big deal.
Well, Zach, I can see the worry, the worry expression off your face right now. I can see how worried you are because, Zach, not only did Anthony Davis sadly go down, Zach, that was my favorite player on that team. If I had to pick one, it was him. Zach, I remember coming on this show and telling you how I believe Anthony Davis was the reason why they won the finals. But, Zach, they also cracked on your boy about flopping. Zach, I know it's Hollywood. I know he's creating Space Jam 2, which he doesn't deserve. Okay, there's only should be one in the original one, ladies and gentlemen. But on the other note, the road's about to be tough for the Lakers, Zach. I mean, no team in the Western Conference is below 500. And the only team that's barely above 500 is the Golden State Warriors at 14-13. Any one of these teams can beat you at any given night. Steph Curry can shoot the ball out of this world. Luka Doncic can start hitting shots. Zach, the Memphis Grizzlies were up by 20 and they lost. I don't know how. It was amazing to watch. Not for me because I wanted them to lose, but Zach, the Lakers are in a rough spot. 2 to 3 weeks, and Achilles injury for that person that tall. We saw the same thing about Kevin Durant. The difference with Kevin Durant is he's not as big, meaning mass size, meaning the weight of Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant. They're different. Zach, if this is the Lakers, 2 to 3 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised you don't see AD for a month or more.
Yes, we'll see. I mean, of course, you have the All-Star break coming up. Details were coming out a lot today about that. We'll continue to cover that as it comes out. So that's going to give them a good week or so of a break without playing games without Anthony Davis. But we'll see. The next two we're going to round off at number 5 for today. Number 4 is the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul doing a great job there. That team looks pretty good. They can be a serious threat in the West this year. Any team Chris Paul's on continues to succeed. He just proves how great of a leader he is. Pair him up with a scorer like Devin Booker, you get to see the results this year and you get to reap the benefits.
Zach, Chris Paul is the best leader in the NBA. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Zach, if you ask any of the former people that play with him, they will say, yes, it may come off as a little bit harsh or anything, but at the end of the day, he's getting the best out of you. Zach, you play on a team with the Suns where they were missing a guy to facilitate and let Devin Booker be the scorer he is. Zach, we saw it. We're seeing it. Devin Booker had 36 versus our beloved Sixers. The only thing I'm worried about is DeAndre Ayton. I need him to turn up if you run a pick and roll with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, that could be deadly. And then you got Jay Crowder who sets the tone defensively. That's a bad team right there. And I'm not being bad in a bad. I mean bad in a good way.
We'll see. Looking at them, defense has become a culture there. Defensive rating of 108.4. That ranks 5th best in the league. And finally today, we will get into Brooklyn, of course, at number 6. But number 5, the Philadelphia 76ers, 18-9, 101.7 is their pace. Their offensive rating, middle of the pack at 112. But their defensive rating, 108.5, that's 6th. Their net rating is only 3.3, which is ranked 7th best in the league for a frame of reference. They're still first in the East. That's all that really matters. Again, tonight's going to be a pretty pivotal test against Utah. But Gavin, Philadelphia 76ers sitting at 5 after falling from 3 last week with 2 tough losses.
Well, that's fair, Zach. You lose 2 straight. You can't sit at the top, Zach. The Lakers got blown out. They didn't stay at the top. That's how it is. I'm not worried about the Sixers, Zach. We're not worried about it before we started this. Just had a bad week. Had a tough weekend, to be exact. You close it out, you come back home, and we go from there.
If they go 500 on the road against 4 very good teams, I think they'd be happy with that. I personally would be happy with 2-2. I don't think 1-3 is as satisfactory. I expect a win tonight for them. Finally, we'll get to Brooklyn because of how interesting of a team they've been this year. 116.8 offensive rating, 3rd best in the league. Their defensive rating, 113.5, which is 25th. Defense is getting better. It's not where it needs to be yet. Gavin, the concerns are pretty simple for Brooklyn. Can these guys all work together? Kevin Durant is out again, this time with an injury. They beat the Pacers. They lost to the Pistons the other night. They lost to the Sixers last week. But, of course, with Kevin Durant back, they went into the Bay and easily took care of business there. Are the Nets missing something, or do they just need more time to gel? And are they the favorite still, in your opinion, in the East?
Well, Zach, I'm gonna answer the first 2 questions. Yes, the Nets need more time to gel, but yes, they're also missing something too. Zach, they're missing their defensive presence. No disrespect to DeAndre Jordan, but Zach, past the prime. You should have kept Jared Allen. Plain and simple. You need someone to grab a rebound. Zach, if you can if you could just strictly play DeAndre Jordan at center, you could play 4 out with Phil Harris in the big 3. But I think gelling and figuring out the defensive side of the ball is key. Now, are they my favorites? Yes, they're still my favorites because Zach, that's the best scorers of all time. Not right now, or not all time, but as of right now. 1, 2, and 3 are all on that team. Now you could shuffle it any way you want, Zach, but all the top 5 best scorers, 3 out of the 5 are on that team. All right, ISO ball won't be a problem. Zach, any one of those guys can go for 50. We know what James Harden brings to the table. He's actually having a great year shooting-wise. And we know what Kevin Durant is when healthy. He's the best player in the league. And we know what Kyrie Irving's playing like a showstopper right now. There's no stopping them. The defense is the only problem, but they'll figure it out.
Hey, we'll see. The offense has been crazy for that team this year. They've been statistically like the best offense of all time and also defensively one of the worst. Jared Allen will be a great piece to still have there, but they had to find a way to move pieces to get James Harden without giving up too much. Their bench is still questionable. They're not yet my favorite. I really don't have a clear-cut favorite right now. Milwaukee is still a name to keep in mind. They're right there at the second spot, although on the power rankings they have fallen quite a bit. They're falling under the radar as well. They have that defense that you would possibly need. Again, Milwaukee, it's still going to take time to see if they have what it takes. But Philadelphia at 5, Brooklyn at 6, Denver at 7, and then Milwaukee currently sitting at 8. It's going to be a fun run here in the season. We're not even halfway done it yet. We're getting close to the All-Star break. I'm excited to see how things play out, especially for the hometown Sixers.
It's going to be fun, Zach, because this is the year where not a lot of people thought the Sixers were going to do as well as they're doing. You get a front office that wants to win. You get a coach that knows what he's doing. He coached the Magic. He coached the 09, the 010 Celtics and that team, and he also coached the best Clippers team in a while. Both of them. He knows what he's doing. Zach, he hired a staff that he was pleased to work with. They're going to figure this thing out. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers make out the East either, Zach.
We can only hope Joel Embiid continue to put up MVP numbers every night. We'll see who plays tonight. Injury report not final yet. He does have some back tightness, which usually is an indication that he won't play, but it's a pretty important game. I would hope he does play. They had a night or two to rest. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for listening to today's More Than Philly Sports Network production. Very exciting for those who are watching this on Monday. A very exciting interview coming up tomorrow. Stay tuned to our social media networks, and we will see you all then.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.